Welcome to the Vanilla to Vixen podcast. This show contains adult content, so if you are under 18 or easily offended, please switch off now. Mr. and Mrs. N are not qualified relationship counsellors. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Now the disclaimer is out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy our journey from Vanilla to Vixen.
Welcome to episode 99. It's got a cone and a little flake in it.
I was just going to say, can I have a flake with mine?
It's 99 of Vanilla to Vixen. We are your hosts, Mr. and Mrs. N, and we are also sometimes known as
the naughty couple.
That will be the one.
It is, that's us.
And that will be Mrs. N speaking.
It is me, I am here.
And she's got a flake in it.
That sounds rude.
Yeah, a little bit.
How are you, my lovely?
I'm really good. I'm a bit tired.
Are you a bit tired? It's not my fault. What have you been up to?
I've actually been working this week.
You've been working?
For a change, yeah.
Yeah, we've got some news to talk about, haven't we?
God, blimey, have we got some news? It just seems to evolve, doesn't it? We talk about evolution and how things started in. I mean, we look back on our podcast 18 months ago.
I know.
And it just seems crazy. And I suppose because we're approaching the big 100.
Yep, the century.
We kind of look back on where we started and we were only going to do 6 episodes.
I didn't think anybody would listen to us.
6 episodes. We got this book that we wanted to flog at the time. And we thought, well, we'll do 6 episodes to advertise it. And here we are,
99 episodes later.
And hundreds of hours of talking about filth.
I know.
And yeah.
And all the amazing people that we've spoken to and interviewed. When I say interviewed, we just chat shit with. Mostly.
That's the best bit for me.
Me too.
It's the people we've met along the way, and
if we get nothing else out of doing this podcast, one thing I will always take away is the amazing people we've been able to meet. We now call our very, very good friends.
They're a family.
They are our family.
They are literally our family.
They are.
It's not a cult. It's not a cult. That is the tagline of who says that? It's Mrs. Foxy.
It is.
It's Mrs. Foxy that says that.
The lovely, delicious Miss Foxy.
It's not a cult. It is a bit.
It is a little one. But it's the best cult to be in.
Yeah, exactly. I got called a cult one. Oh, no, that was different. That was something else somebody called me. Yeah. Oh, we're talking about lots of parties as well.
Yes.
And talking of parties, I know a little story.
Okay.
What did Cinderella do when she got to the ball?
I don't know.
She gagged.
Oh, God. Do you know, my brain was going, there's going to be something rude here.
Of course.
All right, well, listen, you.
Yes.
The lovely Sir John.
Sir John and Lady La.
I think he felt a bit sorry for the listeners and decided that he was going to send us a couple of jokes in.
Yes,
I'm going to read them out.
He is a naturally very funny man.
He is.
He is brilliant.
He is incredibly funny.
We love Sir John.
We do.
And Lady La.
And Lady La. They always make us giggle.
I know.
Whenever you're feeling a little bit down,
I know,
you just have to have a quick chat with Sir John and Lady La, and before you know it, it's like, what was I worried about?
You're back on the mountain,
so to speak. So, first joke from Sir John. Did you hear that there was a fire at the Swingers Club?
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, it caused premature evacuation. I can't even say it.
Fuck that up.
Should we do that one again?
Oh, why not?
Did you hear about the fire that was at the Swingers Club?
I didn't know.
It caused premature evacuation.
Oh, yeah, I did. You told me 2 minutes ago. I think I've used that one.
I'm so sorry, Sir John. I fluffed up your joke.
I'm sure I've used that one already.
Have you used that one before?
Yeah, sure I
okay.
have.
All right. Well, second one, it's a little bit longer.
Okay.
So, an alien couple came down to Earth and goes to a swingers party. What if it was a V2V? They swap partners and go to their respective bedrooms. The alien takes off his clothes, revealing a 1-inch cock. The human woman says, "I'm not impressed with this at all." The alien then twists his right ear and his cock grows 10 inches. "Now I'm impressed," says the woman. The alien then twists his left ear and his cock becomes 2 inches thick. And he gives the woman the best time of her life. Afterwards, she meets up with her husband and asks, "How was it for you, darling?" "Fucking shit," he replied. "All she kept doing was twisting me ears."
Oh, he's beat me.
He has.
That is rather a good joke.
I'm not sure I have the same delivery as you and Sir John, but anyway.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Sir John.
Absolutely brilliant.
It was brilliant.
I should watch out now for Mrs. N twisting my ears.
I tried it. It doesn't work.
Honestly. Well, I mean, we've got. Firstly, before we get into the meat of the program, I mean, there's been some interesting developments this week in the press about swinging and non-monogamy.
Oh, okay. I haven't actually seen this.
It's really interesting. It's in Forbes magazine and The Guardian, which I read neither. The Guardian, definitely not. That's not my cup of tea at all.
Not your bag, love.
No. No. And Forbes magazine, it's a little bit sort of American, really, isn't it? Forbes, but they do have some interesting articles, and this grabbed my attention. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But we've also, just before we go into that, we've got to talk about the parties that are coming up.
Yes.
And events.
Yes.
So we have got the last Vegas Vixens. The last Vegas Vixens.
Are you sure?
Until later in the year.
I was just about to say, was this something you've not told me?
So, because then we are doing a slight change, because we're doing Vanilla to Vixens with some themes.
We are.
Throughout the summer.
Yes.
So that's going to be...
That is August, September and October.
Exactly. So there won't be another Vegas Vixens until November.
November, yes.
So if you want to come to Vegas Vixens, and it's a different vibe, it's a different party
to
Vanilla to Vixen, because we mix couples and singles.
We do.
And I think it's really cool.
It is.
Because it's a bit like a Saturday on a Friday.
Yeah.
But if you're a couple that might just want a single lady, you might want a single guy, but you're still new to the scene, Vegas Vixens is for you.
Absolutely. I mean, it all came about, didn't it? Thanks to Vanilla to Vixen and our V2V parties.
Yeah.
Obviously, word got about the type of party it is and the type of vibe it is and everything. And we got contacted by quite a few single guys, didn't we?
Loads.
Who said, "We really, really want to come to your party, but we can't because it's on a Saturday night."
And these are guys that really understand the lifestyle.
Yes, they get it, don't they?
They really understand, and
they get the brief.
Yeah, and they know the really high level of etiquette that is expected.
Yes.
These are not your people that are just kind of gone on Fab in 2 minutes and the classic "do you want to shag" kind of thing. They understand the social fun, and it is social fun, you know, and the friendships you can make as well.
Absolutely.
So it just makes for an amazing social experience. As well as naughty fun, if you want that as well.
Yeah. And also, we personally vet every single guy.
I know. And we were talking to another host, weren't we?
We were.
Because we were at Hot Wives.
Yes, we were last Friday.
Yeah, we were at Hot Wives Club.
We were working. It wasn't a social, unfortunately, for us. We were working.
We were on the door.
We were on the door. We did surprise a few people. Do you know what, though? It was such good fun.
I know. I think Chardonnay is just trying to push us out the club slowly.
She's had enough of us already.
She's getting us to the front door. I've just got this fear that next week we'll be in the car park. directing the traffic. It
was really weird because we were saying, though, being in the reception area, obviously between 8:30 and it's supposed to be about 10:30, but I think we were there till about 11:15, weren't we? The time just flew by.
It was a great party, though.
Really enjoyed greeting everybody and having, a bit of banter. And because when we're obviously hosting, we do greet all of our guests.
Yeah.
But because they are so busy, our parties, we don't get a lot of time to chat. So when you're in reception, obviously, if you've never been to the club before, you have to fill out the application form and things.
For anyone that's not been to the club, you walk in through the main door and reception's quite a small area.
Yes.
And you've got the desk where you sort of fill out, you kind of pay for the event.
Yes.
And you give your details if you're already a member of the club. But there's always at least one person, or in this case, because it was a really busy party, 2 people, us,
yes,
who we sort of take down the guest list names. And also, if you're a brand new member, you fill out your membership form.
I thought we had quite a good system going, didn't we?
We did.
So it's like we took it in turns to open the door. And the question was, have you been to the club before? Mm-hmm. If you have, then obviously I tick you off the list, put you in the queue for paying. If you've not been to the club before, I handed them over to you.
That's right. And I was like, yippee, a new one.
Fresh meat.
It was. It's like, come with me.
But it was so nice because there was a mixture of members and people that had been to the club before and newbies, and we were having banter with all of them. They were kind of already mixing, weren't they?
And we got to see like the real rabbit in the headlights moment.
We did, because we don't get that, do we?
Because they've already been like, hello, welcome to Liberty Elite, in the reception. So and then you just go behind the door, out of reception, into the main sort of bar area. And we're normally just the other side of the door.
We are.
So I suppose those initial thing of just opening the front door, we missed that.
Yeah. I know. So it was really, really nice.
I know.
We really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. It was good fun.
And only a couple of couples were really sort of clinging on to the door.
They were. You literally, as soon as you opened the door, you could see it in their faces. And it was like, I gather you've never been before. Don't worry, you're in good hands.
Yeah. And Hot Wives Club, it was just an amazing party. It's where a lot of ladies dress up in really sexy lingerie.
Yes.
A lot of hot wives.
We saw some amazing outfits.
Absolutely.
Not just the ladies, the gentlemen were... Some of the guys had made a real effort.
And it's quite a young crowd, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
Quite a young crowd at Hot Wives. So it's always interesting seeing the different parties. We don't get out to get to enough parties.
We don't, no, unfortunately. We want to do more. And we did say this year, the big thing for us, we were going to go and see other clubs and go to other parties. And yeah.
But we're kind of like, we're more involved now.
Yes.
With Liberty Elite. So I have been working a little bit behind the scenes.
You have.
And I've been learning sort of even more of what goes on behind the scenes at a club, a private members club that happens to be full of swingers.
Yes.
It's not a swingers club, it's a private members club. And oh my God, that's why I'm tired.
You've been absolutely knackered, haven't you?
The workload is just incredible.
Yeah.
I remember all the way back to episode 8, which is still one of my favourite episodes.
Yes.
Of all time, where we were talking to John, the former owner of Liberty Elite.
Yes.
And as most people know, it's now kind of Libs 2.
Yeah.
Libs 2 because Chardonnay owns it. And I remember John sort of saying he'd do 80 hours, put 80 hours a week in. Mm-hmm. You listen to that, but you don't really process it.
No.
Until you see what goes on. And to walk in on the Monday morning and see the mountain of towels that need washing and the effects of the after party, I suppose. It's just like, oh my God. In some cases, to get the club ready from the Friday night to another party on the Saturday night, Chardonnay is just a machine. She's like Terminator. She's just like, poof.
It's like a whirlwind.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible woman. And to watch behind the scenes how it all works, the jacuzzi alone, because it is not a small jacuzzi.
Nope.
Liberty Elite. To see how that is all scrubbed down and cleaned, emptied every week.
See, a lot of people don't realise this.
No.
But Chardonnay does empty that jacuzzi every week.
It's drained, so if you go in, you've got literally fresh water. And it's all chlorined and the pH and all the other chemicals that go in swimming pools and jacuzzis things. But that's not enough. It's still absolute fresh water every single week.
Surfaces are all scrubbed clean.
And it is just, I feel like I'm in the Wizard of Swing. Not the Wizard of Oz, it's the Wizard of Swing.
So it wouldn't be follow the yellow brick road. What would it be?
Well, you click your heels and go, there's no place like Libs. There's no place like Libs.
This is true.
And if only we just turned up there.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So I shall be bringing more tales of behind the scenes as we get to.
It's been very interesting listening to what you've been up to,
and I've loved it
over the last few weeks. And you can tell how much you're really enjoying it. But you're right; people don't realise what goes into making that club perfect for when visitors arrive. Yeah,
like I say, it's the people behind it, the hosts, Chardonnay, the bar staff, and the cleaners, the club, and everyone that helps, the helpers.
Yeah,
it's just absolutely incredible.
It is.
It's just an incredible place, but to see it from really behind the scenes is a fascination, and I love it.
Oh, so you get to. Listeners will get to be like a fly on the wall, and they get to hear about some of the things that happen
on this podcast. I'd still like to get Chardonnay on the podcast for episode 100.
I know.
But it probably won't happen.
Talking of episode 100,
yes,
Mr. N, we have been racking our brains on what we can do to celebrate.
And what makes it worst is that people keep coming up to us and going, oh, it's almost 100. What are you going to do? And it's like a shit joke.
It is.
Don't build it up.
Anyway, we have thought about it, haven't we?
Yes.
And we've decided it's over to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because if it wasn't for you guys listening to us babble on week in, week out,
yes,
we wouldn't be up to episode 100.
No.
So we've decided that we are going to dedicate episode 100 to you. So what we want you guys to do is to send some voice notes in to myself and Mr. N, and Mr. N will give you details of how you can do that in a second.
Discord.
Yes, mainly would be great. But if you don't have Discord, you can contact us and we can give you the link to Discord. We really, really want to play all your voice messages so people get to hear you rather than they sit and listen to us.
So you can send us stories of how you got into the naughty hobby.
Yeah.
You could send us questions.
Yeah.
You could send us questions about us. How big, is my toe size?
Where we were going with that.
I don't know. How, I just don't know what you could ask. What other questions could they ask?
Well, you could tell us things that you like about the podcast or don't like about the podcast.
Oh, yeah. That'll make good for a good episode.
I know it will.
Tell us what you don't like about.
Yeah, exactly. You could also tell us, has anything that we've covered on the podcast, has it affected you in any way, positively or negatively, anything like that?
That's a really good one.
It's literally, it's open.
Yeah.
It's open to anything you want to do. If you want to try and help Mr. N out and send him some decent jokes, feel free.
Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. It'll just make me feel inadequate again.
Maybe if you've met us in person, maybe you could tell the story of when we first met.
Yes.
That would be quite nice.
Perhaps your favourite ever meet or party.
Yeah.
That would be a good one.
Or your favourite episode of the podcast.
Perhaps any disaster meets.
Oh, yes.
That might be a funny one.
Yes.
If you've got a funny disaster meet, your worst ever meet, as long as it's funny and not just cruel and horrendous. We don't want to listen to that shit on episode 100. So if you've got a funny story, send that in. If you've got, something that rather turned a little bit sour.
A learning experience, shall we call it?
Yeah, learning experience.
Now, by all means, if you want to stay anonymous, you don't have to give your names. But if if you're happy to have your fab name,
just leave it from your fab name at the end of the message.
Leave it at the end of the message so people can, they may want to contact you to say, look, I really enjoyed what you'd said.
So this episode 100 is the episode where you can be a guest on Vanilla to Vixen.
Yeah.
If you send us messages, we will feature you on the show.
Absolutely.
Even if it makes it 10 hours of rubbish.
If we only get one message, it's going to be a very short episode. So we're just warning you now.
You better send some
Don't be shy. You need to get those messages into us. But we do need them by Wednesday.
Absolutely.
So no later than Wednesday, because obviously the little editing fairy has to do all his special work.
Yes. So send them in for next week and we will... Unfortunately, I've just realised people that are only up to like episode 40 or 50...
They're not going to hear this, are they?
They're not going to hear it. Never mind.
Okay. Well, I have also put a message on our V2V Discord group as well.
Yeah.
So
please send your messages via Discord.
Yes.
That will be awesome.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that.
I know. One thing I can also tell you, going back to Libs.
Yes.
Is soon to start, they're going to have a subscription service.
Oh.
So if you are a regular attender of Libs, Liberty Elite, you will be able to subscribe a little bit like a gym.
Yeah.
Only it's more fun.
I was just about to say.
It's like, burning calories in a different way. And you'll be able to sort of pay a subscription charge each month and you'll be able to attend, say, for instance, if on the lower tier of subscription, you'll be able to go every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Or if you pay a higher tier of subscription, you'll be able to go every 3 weeks. So it'll have, I believe it'll have like silver, gold and platinum.
Okay.
So that sounds really, really cool.
It does sound really, really cool. And will we be going into that in more detail on
we're
future
hoping,
episodes?
I'm hoping it will start around August.
Okay.
So as we get more details, we'll fill you in on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I think we should now talk about some of the events that are coming up.
Yes.
Because there are some amazing summer events right across the board. For a start, obviously, if you remember a few months back, we have winners from our Vanilla to Vixen party.
Yes.
Really, really lucky winners, whiskey and wine.
Yeah.
And they're about to be whisked off to Spicy Island. Thanks to Spicy Match.
Yes, they won the holiday.
In Croatia.
Yeah.
So you see, listening to the podcast, that's changed their lives.
Exactly.
They're now off to Croatia.
Yeah.
So we're going to hopefully hear from them in a few weeks.
Yes.
And they're going to come back, tell us all about it. And talking of Spicy Match, they're going to be at a couple of almost like festivals, outdoor type events. Mm-hmm. There's Swingathon.
Yes.
And they've got, I'm not sure actually if I'm allowed to mention it. So I'm not going to mention it.
Okay, don't.
But they've got something... Yeah, I'm not sure. I've just realised. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, don't tell me anything, any secrets, because I'll just blurt them out. They've got a really cool, like, let's just say stand.
Yes.
They're doing something really special at Swingathon. So Swingathon's coming up. That's on the internet. Just Google Swingathon. You'll get all the details. That's really interesting.
We're hopefully going to be there, aren't we?
We're going to take a roving reporter microphone out and see. Yeah,
we're going mobile.
We are. We're going to be there at Swingathon, and there's also obviously, as I say, Spicy Island is taking place.
Yes,
very soon. That's going to be an incredible holiday and experience for so
I can't
many
wait
people.
to hear all about it from Whiskey and Wine.
They're going to be in almost like a tent on the beach almost. I can't wait to hear about that.
I think it's a bit posher than a tent.
It is. I can't think of
the word,
name,
can you?
But it is ultra posh. And it looks nice. And I'm like, oh, shit. And with the summer we're having at the minute.
Yeah, we're slightly jealous, aren't we?
Just slightly. I'm sitting here like the Jolly Green Giant. Just a little bit. Yes, and I can't wait to hear from them. So that's something to come up. But if you can't go all the way to Croatia, we've got some amazing events happening at Liberty Elite.
Yes.
We've got the gorgeous Roxy's.
Yay, Dangerous Curves.
That's the one, which is the party for ladies who are a little bit body conscious.
It's a body positive party.
Exactly. If you've got small curves or large curves, Roxy's your lady.
She certainly is.
It's tonight at Liberty Elite.
Yeah.
We've got an amazing party on Sunday, the 30th of June.
We have.
It's one of the special chilled out afternoon events.
Oh, I'm really starting to like these Sunday afternoons.
It's better than watching the kids play football.
It is.
And anyway, the season's over, so you know. So how would you describe the atmosphere on a Sunday afternoon?
Oh, just completely chilled. Very, very chilled.
It is good. So, I mean, we were there at the last Curiosity event.
Yes.
So this is a little bit different to Curiosity. This is called Sin Day.
Yeah.
So it's a more sort of standard event where you've got couples, a few single guys, and you've got single ladies as well.
Yeah.
So it's a more sort of standard event. The Curiosity one, which is a little bit more for
the curious.
Yeah, for the more bi-curious event. And we will be having more Curiosities later on in the year. But this one's Sin Day.
Yeah.
So you can be as sinful as you like.
It's lovely, and it always feels quite naughty.
It's like, yeah,
on a Sunday afternoon.
Sinful Sunday.
But it's it's really relaxed. The last one that we went to was lovely.
Yeah.
Felt so chilled by the end of it. You obviously can use the facilities. You can have naughty fun. You can go and lie in the jacuzzi. There's food.
And I might be doing a special DJ mix again.
Oh.
I might do a little bit special DJ. I might do a bit of a little bit sort of IB3 summary.
Oh,
for this one. I think so.
That would be nice, especially if the weather's good.
I know. Yes.
If not, then we'll just transport you, won't we?
So,
in your mind, it will be hot and sunny.
Yes. Yeah. I might do a little bit Cafe de Mar, Ibiza, chilled out. Yes.
Okay.
I think we're going to go for that sort of vibe.
All right.
So
that
for
sounds
one.
good.
It does, doesn't it? And the party is from 2:00 until 8 p.m.
Yeah.
2:00 in the afternoon to 8. And there's a buffet.
I know.
Sunday afternoon buffet.
I know.
What more could you want?
Exactly.
So don't bother with a Sunday roast. It'll be too warm by then anyway.
Yeah, nobody wants to be cooking a roast.
So just come to Libs, meet Mr. and Mrs. N on Sinful Sunday, and just chill. Of course, then, if you can't make it to Sinful Sunday, Vegas Vixen's a couple of weeks later.
Yes.
On Friday. The 12th
yes.
of July. So at Vegas Vixen's, we play a few casino-style games.
Hence the name Vegas.
That's where the Vegas Vixens come in. So you can dress as sexy as you like. You can dress up smart. We like smart dress, don't we, for Vegas Vixens?
Yeah, we do.
On a Friday.
And also, for any of the gentlemen listening, the ladies do love...
Exactly.
When a man's,
suited and booted.
Suited and booted.
So it's a kind of a clue for the guys. If you want to do well, suited and booted on Vegas Vixens, you'll do all right.
Absolutely.
And there's prizes to win. Always naughty prizes at Vegas Vixens. And I'm trying to get, I can't promise yet, I'm trying to get some naughty massage gloves.
Are they the ones with the balls on? The silver balls.
You leave my balls out of this.
We've actually got one, haven't we?
We got one to try it out, and it was really good.
It is really good.
But when you first touch it, the balls are really cold.
They're so cold, aren't they? Be careful where you put it to start off with. You might need to warm the balls up first.
Well, no, because if you're wearing a blindfold, I think it kind of adds to the...
Yeah, I suppose so.
The shock value. Because we do like kind of like that sensory play, don't we?
Oh, we do, definitely.
We love sensory play.
Yeah.
So we like to give prizes away that kind of match that sensory play.
Yeah.
Good.
We also have, at the beginning of the evening, we call it our match game, don't we?
Matching game.
So where you get a little piece of paper that's got something on it, and somebody else will have the one that matches what you've got, and when you find that person, you match it, then you go into a draw and you can win a prize. So there's lots of opportunities to win prizes at Vegas Vixens.
Definitely. It's the naughtiest casino that you will ever know.
Yep.
And the only people who lose their shirt are the ones that want to.
I like that.
That's the way it works.
I like that. So if you are interested in getting on the guest list, and this also applies to members of the club, you must be on the guest list.
Yes, it's a guest list only party. So if you want to be on the guest list, send us an email. It's naughtycouple, naughtcouple1@yahoo.com. Or you can send us a message on Fab Swingers. We are Naughty Couple, spelled naughtcp1.
Yes. So the guest list is open. So yeah, get your names on it. It's going to be a good one.
Absolutely.
Now, Mr. N, we have got an event coming up, haven't we, next week that we are attending.
This is a different kind of Vegas.
It is.
This is Vegas in a tent. There's a lot of tents. It's very intense, this show. It's very intense.
Oh. So we have been invited to Camp Vegas.
It's organised by the wonderful people at Liberated Voice, who we absolutely adore, and they're doing their own Camp Vegas.
They are. So I'm so excited. It's across the entire weekend. So it's the Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Yep.
We're going to be attending on the Saturday. And again, we're going to be doing a roving report. So we're hopefully going to be able to get loads of people to interview that you'll be able to listen to.
I'm very excited.
On the podcast.
I'm presuming it's going to be like gambling in tents. So perhaps you just pick a tent, dive in it, see who's in there.
I don't think that's quite on the menu.
I don't think it is either, but
there are a lot of activities going on. So I have seen the itinerary.
Have you?
I have. You haven't, have you?
No, I wish I could see Mrs. Liberated Voice's itinerary. I'm sure it's a very good looking itinerary.
I'm sure it is, because she's absolutely stunning.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be great.
It's going to be good fun.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that in next weekend.
And now it's time for our main event on the show.
Yes.
Where we're going to talk about what is happening in the news this week.
Have we gone all, what's the word? All media?
No. But I do think this one's an interesting one.
Okay.
So Forbes magazine have pointed out, and they've actually gone to a big sort of psychology study, which began in 2021. And I shall read it out to you.
Okay.
And the headline is, "Why are non-monogamous relationships thriving?" And a psychologist has basically written this piece.
Oh, okay.
So non-monogamous relationships have been gaining interest in popularity among people looking for love, which is quite an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So 2021 Frontiers in Psychology study reveals that among a sample of over 3,000 single US-based adults, 1 in 6 desired to be now engaged in a polyamory relationship.
Wow.
That's a lot.
It is.
1 in 6. It's almost like unbelievable. When you think that's across the whole of the US.
Yeah.
And down south, they have like a big Bible Belt where I can't imagine. I find that difficult to believe, to be honest, because I can't see, people down south in the Bible Belt. I don't see polyamory as being a desired thing there. But it is really interesting. And they also say 1 in 9 had engaged in some form of polyamory at some point in their lives. Or 1 in 15 knew someone who had previously engaged or were currently involved in a polyamorous arrangement.
Okay.
So obviously polyamory can involve consensual non-traditional relationships with multiple partners, a bit like we were talking sort of similar to Mr. Horny.
Yes.
Last week. Obviously, he's not in a polyamory relationship.
No.
But they've got very, very good friends, and it's just, there's no labels for it.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously it can be arrangements for romantic, sexual or emotional connections, such as relationships can take on many different forms, including open relationships and polyamory and swinging.
Oh.
They've actually mentioned swinging.
Wow.
However, when this big Frontiers in Psychology study was sort of revealed, there was a counter sort of statement, obviously, an extensive literature review by Virginia Tech researchers Shivangi Gupta, Mari Tarantino.
Oh, any relation to Quentin?
I don't know if they've seen Pulp Fiction or not. And Caroline Sanna published an article in the Journal of Family Theory and Review in November, and she highlights how non-monogamous relationships are perceived as promiscuous, perverted and untrustworthy. And such relationships, the review suggests, are also viewed as unsustainable and prone to jealousy. She's obviously not been to Libs.
Obviously not.
However, she admits the glaring question remains, why are non-traditional relationships gaining popularity and flourishing despite unfavourable perceptions?
This is the thing, isn't it? It's the perception that's the problem.
And I think you've just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
So the people that don't understand, perhaps for religious reasons or, just the way you were brought up, the way you were educated.
I think it's also got a lot to do with how it's been portrayed over the years. Mm-hmm. And people who aren't involved in that kind of life, they don't realise that it's evolved massively. Mm-hmm. So they still think of it as how it probably was years and years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that is the problem, which is why one of the things about us doing this podcast was to bring people up to date and just say, look, it's not like that.
Yeah.
This is what it's like. This is the reality of it. This is the truth. I never set out when we were on our journey to start off with, mm-hmm. and we've talked about this extensively, that it was all about fantasizing for us. We never went into it with the thought of, we're going to become swingers.
Yeah.
That was never on the cards.
And that's, to be honest, how I would advise anyone. If you're listening to this and just want to dip your toe in the water, we always say the best way to start is just talking to your partner.
Yeah.
If you have one.
Yeah. But I never had the thought of, I want to have sex with other people at all. It was only due to us fantasizing, and then the emotions and the feelings that we both got from that, which then grew, and we went on this journey. Because, like I said, we never imagined, even when we knew we were going to have our first meet, we hadn't planned that we were going to have it, if you know what I mean. It wasn't sort of like, okay, so this is how we want it to go. We're going to fantasize, then we're going to have our first meet, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to go to a club. It was never like that. It has just been something that's happened very naturally, very gradually.
I suppose we haven't spoken about, we've talked about our first meet many, many times, but we've never really spoken about what led us into meeting different people.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, you set out and you said, I'm not going to have sex with many different people.
I did, yeah.
That was absolutely one of your things. You didn't mind having a friend.
Yes.
who we shared fun with.
Yeah.
But you were never going to swing or be a swinger. We've spoken about the logistical issue of it was almost impossible to see our friend who we'd played with for the very first time. I wonder, had we have that been different and we had have been able to see him regularly, would it just have stayed as a regular friend we would have played with? Or do you think we would have eventually gone to the swinging clubs and gone down and taken the route that we took?
Honestly, I really don't know. I don't know. And that's the thing. I think the whole thing with the hobby and people's lifestyles, most people probably say they didn't set out to be where they are. It's something that has grown.
Oh, and then we used Craigslist.
Oh, yeah.
So Craigslist was an American internet phenomenon, really. And it was a little bit shit over here. I don't know what it was like in the States, but over here it was like if you wanted to sell your second-hand vacuum cleaner, you'd stick it on
That's not a euphemism, by the way.
It was kind of almost like a shit gum tree.
Yeah.
Over here.
Yeah.
And we there was a very small section for kind of people seeking people, which everybody kind of knew what it was when you looked at it.
Yeah.
And I remember putting our advert on there, and that did feel a bit weird.
Yeah.
Because that was openly swingers. So I could almost pinpoint that was the moment I felt a little bit swingery.
Yeah, but you also have to bear in mind our experience with our very, very first meet. We lived off that experience for like 6 years.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something we suddenly just went, oh, right, I've done it once. That's it. Yeah. Hey, I'm off and I'm going to shag anything that I can get my hands on.
But it was still that moment of we were moving into uncharted territory.
Yeah.
And we were literally putting ourselves out there. We were literally advertising. Because before that, we were almost like keyboard warriors, keyboard swingers. I like that. I like that. We were keyboard swingers because we were hiding behind that. It was Yahoo chat back in the day, which we've spoken about many times. So that was all fantasy, and it was just on the computer. And you know, if you felt uncomfortable, you could just switch the computer off.
Yeah, exactly.
But I suppose the minute we were kind of advertising on Craigslist, that was different because there were no. That was like meets.
Yeah, but if I remember rightly, and I know my brain isn't the best at the moment, but we would have had lots of conversations about this before we even took that next step.
We did.
And even when we took that next step, I think there was still that element of we felt very much in control of what we wanted. But I don't think, and I think honestly, I don't think we ever looked any further than that particular time. No. We were just trying to look for someone with a similar interest. Yeah. Liberty Elite was open and parties were available at that time. We didn't know anything about it. Other clubs were available. I think having known what I know now, I think at that point I would have preferred to go to a club. Yeah. And I would agree. I definitely would agree. I think when we did go to the club eventually, as nerve-wracking as it was, I probably had more of a not a hard time, but I put so much pressure on myself, didn't I, in the beginning, because I didn't really understand the whole concept. It was I still had all those preconceived things as like, oh my God, if I make eye contact with a guy, he's going to think I want to sleep with him. And you almost felt like you were competing against the other ladies. Yeah. And what you have to remember is at clubs, there are people with different levels of experience. Yes. There are people with different dynamics. And when we first went to Liberty Elite, it was a different place. It was still amazing. It was still, otherwise we wouldn't still be there now. But I don't think the parties were as well defined as they are now. No. I think the hosts are so finely tuned to newcomers. Yes. And those different dynamics. People talk openly now about their dynamics. Yeah. Even when we went, which was back in like 2016, when we first went to the club, you wouldn't go up to another couple and go, what are your dynamics? No. Because it's more evolved. Yeah. And in fairness, when we went, the first time we went was a non-hosted evening anyway. And I know we've talked about the lovely couple that kind of took us under their wing, but there was nobody there saying to us, look, the night is whatever you want it to be. If you just want to socialise. If you want to go in the jacuzzi, fine. Nobody's expecting you to have sex unless that is exactly what you want. And I almost wish that the me today could have gone back to the me then and given me that pep talk because I think that would have made a massive difference, which is why with our events, that's what we try and do.
Now you can listen to hundreds of hours of podcasts where we will explain what it's like. We will explain what you can do and etiquettes and things. You've got to bear in mind, back then there was nothing.
No.
There's absolutely nothing. We kind of just blindly felt our way,
so to speak.
But there were, and I still remember the couple that kind of we always say took us under their wing, and guided us, But the strange thing is, I felt less like a swinger when I'd gone to the club than I did placing those adverts on Craigslist.
Really? That's interesting.
And I suppose I'm using the word swinger in a negative sense.
Yeah.
Because...
but the word swinger has a stigma attached to it.
Yeah.
Even now.
I know. And when I did the adverts, it was me that did it, even though we'd talked. We sat and we designed the advert together, what we were putting together and what we were looking for and everything else. But I still felt a little bit seedy. It felt very solitary. And, I remember thinking, oh God, if anyone discovers this, my life will be over. And as part of that evolution, you can't believe that you get to a point where you don't give a shit.
Yeah, I know.
And that's what we talk about, the journey and how you evolve and change.
Even though you'd involved me in the conversations and, is this what we're going to do? We agreed.
I was very much the admin.
Yeah, very much.
Back then.
Definitely. Yeah, I couldn't be bothered.
No, it wasn't couldn't be bothered. You were too nervous back then.
I wouldn't even speak to people, let alone anything else.
And I did feel pressure.
Really?
Yeah, because basically all you wanted to see was a photo of the person.
Yeah.
But I felt it was very difficult to judge that person back then just on messages alone. Now I feel so much more confident. I can, pretty much tell from messages what level a person is at.
Yeah.
In their journey of the naughty hobby.
Yeah.
But back then I hadn't a clue. I
think the one thing for me throughout our entire naughty hobby time has been that it's always been about the two of us. Always been about the two of us. And it's about how we've felt about each other, how we've fallen more in love with each other, how we've had the most fun ever together. I think, and this is where I think this is why the non-monogamy thing is getting more and more popular. Because couples especially are realising, and we know this because we've had messages from people saying, you've saved our marriage, or, our relationship was this, and now thanks to you, we've never had so much sex. And I think, and this is what people don't understand about the hobby, what it does for you and your relationship. And individually, exactly.
It changes you individually because you learn so much more about yourself.
You do.
I think you learn to control your emotions a lot more. I mean, can you imagine I remember you saying years ago you would never watch me have sex with another woman.
No.
But then you did.
I did.
What made you change?
I think, as you know, I've carried a lot of guilt about that, because it was always, I was the one that played but we got so much out of it as a couple but I still felt very guilty, and we talked about it all the time, and you always used to say, you don't, that's ridiculous, you don't need to feel guilty. This is what I enjoy. This was our dynamic at the time. And obviously as things have gone on, and I think because of the relationship that we've had, thanks to the naughty hobby, I mean, we always had a strong relationship anyway, and we would have carried on having a strong relationship with or without the hobby. But the hobby has highlighted it more and has probably made me feel more secure than ever. Not that I wasn't secure, if you know what I mean, because I've got massive trust in you, and you've always made me feel incredibly special. And I always felt we had a very, very strong relationship. But unless you've been in the hobby and you've experienced that actually that feeling can double, treble, whatever, that then gave me the confidence, I think, more than anything, to think to myself, do you know what? I understand. Because I've been able to understand the emotions that I feel. So we love, when we play with people, I don't want to have relationships with them. Not on that kind of level.
Not on a romantic
level.
On a
romantic level. I don't need that because I have that with you, and you're the only person that I want that with. And then it took me a long time to actually understand that if you played with another woman, that is exactly how you would feel. Yeah.
But I suppose it's a balancing act, isn't it, of whether you still have the fear of will he suddenly start having emotions for that person.
And there is always that fear, because it can happen.
And it does happen. It shocked me when we spoke to a host quite recently where she said she still gets jealous. Yeah. When her partner...
Yes. Yeah.
And that shocked me. And it made me also realise that when you walk into clubs and you see couples that you think, have been swinging for years, and you think that it's just totally relaxed, a lot of people still have those emotions. We're still human.
I was going to say, I think it's natural. I think it's very natural. There has to be a lot of trust there, not with each other, but also with the person that you're playing with. That's why I've been able to, be comfortable with seeing you play with another woman, because the women that you have played with are people that we have relationships with, as in friendships, and there is a massive level of trust there.
And we are going to be Generation X. We are going to be the last generation that grew up where monogamy was normal. Yeah. So from now on, even now, the generations now grow up and they're quite cool with polyamory. Yeah. It's normal.
It's normal.
They grow up thinking, well, could have 2 or 3 partners. Yeah. Could end up in a foursome. I know that's not, again, because of people's backgrounds, be it religious or how they were brought up. I know that's not the standard form. But there's still going to be a lot more acceptance of normality.
I mean, we've learned that much from our kids, from the conversations that we know that they've had with their school friends. Yeah. And those conversations are way off the chart from what we were having at their age.
It's almost unusual now to just plan having one sexual partner for life. Yeah. That's not the norm. No. So, and we've spoken about this before, going forward and in the future. At the moment, swinging clubs are thriving. They're thriving in an industry where pubs and normal clubs are literally closing at the rate of knots. Yeah. Breweries are in trouble. But the new wave of swinging club is thriving. Yeah. And the whole industry is. If you look at Love Honey, even vanillatavixen.co.uk.
Oh, well done, Mr. N. You got that one in.
But it is, all these sort of retail outlets, even now, there's little sort of adverts within there for partner or partners, and everything is aimed towards open relationships and people where there's more 2 or 3 or 4 people involved.
Yeah.
Whether it just be sex or polyamory relationships, full-on relationships. Things are changing.
They are.
And I never thought, even in the 18 months, even going back 18 months ago.
I was going to say, when you think when we first started this podcast to now, the whole thing has changed massively.
Yeah.
I mean, we know for a fact, we've had messages and spoken to couples where, you know, one half doesn't want the sex part of the relationship, but they still love each other so much. So they have agreed that the other partner can go off, do what they need to do, but they come back and they're still a couple.
Yeah.
Now, if you think, if they didn't have that opportunity to do that, what are the chances of that marriage surviving?
Yeah, I think, and again, the big thing is communication.
Huge.
And I also think as well, there's a huge, and again, this isn't just my personal opinion, I think there's a very big difference between somebody just turning a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
Because that's not really acceptance.
No.
You know, yes, you probably don't want to know all the sordid details, but if you are just turning a blind eye, I think that's very different to someone fully accepting it.
Yeah.
You know, marriages like that have been going on for years and years and years. You could even look at Charles and Diana.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think turning a blind eye is very different to couples who fully accept that.
And I'm quite impressed with this article that's been written, and it's been acknowledged that the polyamorous relationships or lifestyle is...
And swinging, yeah. I mean,
swinging.
It's all covered under the umbrella.
Exactly. And I just think it's great that it's almost like this is a positive side to it in the media, rather than always the negative.
Well, and even in the Family Gazette, or whatever it's called, they've questioned as to why the relationships are thriving.
Which is great, because it means whatever we are all doing, people are now intrigued.
It's simply, and we never learn without first accept, learn, and then move on. Yeah. So, you know, even that magazine has said, well, they've accepted that these relationships are thriving, and they're now asking why. Yeah. And so, hopefully, you know, even for those skeptics, there's a very big difference between being cynical and being skeptical. Cynical, never believe in anything. No. So, you know, if you're very heavily religious based, or your family is very heavily religious based, I think you are facing a very difficult task. Yeah. But amongst friends and amongst probably the younger generation, I think it's more acceptable now to actually come out.
Yeah, I agree.
As being in the naughty hobby.
I mean, since we've been doing this podcast, we have met so many people that have actually just come out to friends, families, and just saying, look, this is it. This is what I do. Yeah. You know, which is amazing.
Yeah. I think especially since COVID, I think during COVID, people sat on their computers for many hours. Yeah. Or on their phones. And so you were left alone with your opinions. Yeah. And for a year, locked away in our little caves, being let out once a day to walk by Boris.
He was partying.
He was at a fucking party.
Let's not go there.
And, you know, we were left with nothing but our opinions. Yeah. And so I think, and I've argued this, and I've said this many times, I think since 2020, people have become so much more opinionated, which is not always a good thing.
Not always.
And so hopefully, you know, we've got back to living our lives and experiencing things again.
Yeah. I would much prefer for somebody who had the opinion of, oh, what you do is disgusting, or this, that and the other. I would rather they said, all right, tell me about it. Help me understand why you do what you do. I would much rather somebody had the nerve to say that
I don't think that's nerve. I think that's skepticism is just approaching things with an open blank page.
Yeah.
Being ready to actually listen.
Yeah.
And to be educated.
Yeah.
Like this goes for everything, not just swinging in the naughty hobby. But if you approach things in a cynical way with your opinion sat on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Going, I don't believe in this.
Yes.
Or I don't, agree with this. Then you are already approaching something and you're not willing to learn. You're not willing to hear. And that's basically a big key to life is how you approach things, either cynically or skeptically. So how you've just described it, that's a cynical person.
Yeah.
There's negative traits in there.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about that.
No.
So sometimes you just have to let that person go on their way. and
jog on.
and enjoy their own journey.
Exactly. The thing is, if somebody did sit there and say, okay, tell me about it, help me to understand, and at the end of the conversation or whatever else, they still turn around and say, I still don't get why you do what you do, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you're entitled to your opinion.
But again, that goes for anything. I don't know why people that go hang gliding do it. It's terrifying.
I've always wanted to do that. That was one of the things on my bucket list,
You enjoy that. I shall sit and watch.
That and swim with sharks.
Another strange thing. I'll leave that one to you.
Okay, dear.
I'll sit by the pool. I'll sit by the pool.
While I get eaten.
While you go in the sea with the sharks, I'll just sit by the pool. But yeah, it's live and let live. And there's a very big difference to everybody, I think, says, oh no, I believe in live and let live. Unless you're in the Chinese Communist Party, perhaps. Turning very political, this show. We'll turn that way. But yeah, everybody says that they're open-minded and live and let live.
Yeah.
Until they're tested.
Yeah.
And then you're perhaps not as liberal and live and let live as you think you are.
Yeah.
We all, no matter all of us, it's part of our human nature. It's inbred in us as almost as like a safety feature to quickly assess and judge.
Yeah.
And so to suddenly take a step back and go, okay, let's have a look at this and just think about this with a blank page. I think it gives us different perceptions and then we can learn and evolve a lot quicker.
Exactly. That's good advice, Mr. N. Very good advice.
It's very deep, this show, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? We went downhill very quickly, didn't it? I mean, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Everybody is entitled, but it's what you do with that opinion that can actually be quite harmful. Or positive.
Exactly.
So
yeah, how you react to everything. So if it's a partner telling you that they want to experiment more, that they want to explore their sexuality, you can look at that either with a positive or a negative opinion.
Yeah.
Your negativeness and if you say, oh, well, am I not good enough?
Yes, which I think is quite a natural reaction.
Then all that really is your own vulnerability.
Yes.
Talking. It's your own vulnerability. It's your own fear of inadequacy. I'm obviously not good enough.
Yeah.
But if you look at that as a positive thing, thinking, okay, I'm going to roll with this. This could be fun. You're going to have a lot more fun and evolve and get there quicker. Yes, you might not be on the same page. So it's that if you're a couple or if you're in a relationship, then it's that kind of, there will always be someone in front and always someone behind. If you're the person in front, it's about teaching and guiding the way a little bit. Not forcefully.
No, never.
Absolutely not. It
Absolutely
won't work.
Never.
If you've got two people pushed against each other with one person going, I don't think I like this, and the other person going, go on, you'll enjoy it, it will just push you further and further apart.
Yeah.
But if you've got some person going, what don't you like about this?
Yeah.
What turns you on? What there must be something that you find sexually arousing, and exploring that, then you'll probably end up in a destination that you didn't think you would be, but it'll be really cool, and you'll have a great time.
And that's the other thing about being open-minded, is the fact that you could find certain things incredibly sexy and I can't think of the word that I'm looking for. So, that it turns you on that you probably wouldn't have even thought of.
If you'd have asked either of us, would we have a case? We've got a case full of bondage and toys and fetish equipment. If you'd have asked either of us whether we would have whips and chains upstairs,
I mean, just 12 months ago,
we would have both said, no, that's not for us.
Yeah.
And so that's only our open-mindedness.
Yes.
Because we had an opportunity to explore that and meet so many cool people, that got us to where we are today, and to find out that we love sensory play.
Yeah.
Yeah, being whipped the shit out of is probably personally not for me. But sensory play I find really erotic and really sexy.
Incredibly.
And so again, it's not romantic relationships, but it's relationships with other people that we have approached with an open mind.
Yeah.
And that has evolved us and got us to a place where we go, this is really cool. We like this. It's fun.
I mean, there's so many more sides to the naughty hobby. It isn't just automatically about having sex with other people, because we know people in the naughty hobby that don't have sex with other people.
Yeah. And they're still really, really cool.
Absolutely.
And they are very sexy people to watch. We've perhaps been in the same playroom and just watched a couple that we know don't swap.
Yeah.
But it's still really sexy to watch them, sometimes probably even more, because you know that they don't swap, and so there's a sexiness about that.
One of the most incredibly sexy things that I've ever experienced is when we've been on the big bed, which obviously everybody knows that it scares the shit out of me. But you and I were on the big bed, and there was another couple literally right next to us who were playing.
Yeah.
There was no interaction between them and us at all. We were watching them, they were watching us, and it was the most erotic experience ever.
Naked flesh close together.
Yeah. I can honestly say this. You can stand at the side of a bed and watch people have sex, but when you are literally lying right next to somebody having sex, that is a totally different level.
Especially if there's literally no words said.
Yeah.
Because then you only can see, you don't know what's going through their minds, you don't know, you could just see the pleasure and the sexuality of the whole thing and the eroticism of the whole thing. But yeah.
It was almost like that particular experience was almost like a bit of a chain reaction on the bed that night, wasn't it? Because us watching them got us really excited and turned on and going, in which then obviously we got more excited, and then other people were watching and they got more excited.
Yeah.
And it was just an amazing experience.
And again, how you approach that situation will give you the outcome. And I'll give you two examples. You have been in that room, in the same room, with similar ages of couples and dynamics of couples, and you have stood there and burst into tears.
Yeah.
Where you have felt inadequate and not good enough.
Yeah.
For that situation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this was in the early days. I'm sure we've told this story. It's all in the book. Read the book. And I'm like, come on, it's time to go home. Just we need to chat and just talk. But then you've also been in that environment where, like you've just said, you've embraced that because you felt sexy and you felt part of it.
Yeah.
Without even touching someone else, but you still felt sexy and part of that. So how you react to everything will give you a different outcome in life.
Yeah, that's so true. So true.
And that just about concludes episode 99.
Oh, we're nearly there.
You've had your chocolate cone. Not a chocolate cone.
Well, you can get chocolate cones.
No, you've had your cone. I don't know what cones are made out of, like
Wafers.
Yeah. But wafers. It's like eating a piece of plastic, really. Wafers are very tasteless.
I quite like the wafer bit.
I think an ice cream is a little bit like the ultimate edging.
Okay.
Well, think about it. It gets a little bit shitter as you get down. You start off with a chocolate flake. Chocolate. Who doesn't like chocolate? It's fucking brilliant. Then you get down to the vanilla ice cream, if that's your thing, which is nice. Everyone likes a bit of ice cream.
Creamy.
You know, not as nice as your chocolate.
Slips down nicely.
Yes. Mrs. N. You know, everybody loves ice cream. Not quite as nice as the chocolate, but you still got ice cream. And then you finish off with a wafer. Yeah.
But you do get people that bite the end of the wafer off and suck the ice cream through the wafer.
Talented individuals. If you can eat the ice cream backwards, starting off with a wafer, then the ice cream, finish off with a flake, you're a very talented person.
That might be a challenge.
You are way beyond me. And I think we'll finish off with that.
Okie dokie.
So we will see you. Please, 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 be part of Vanilla to Vixen.
We need you to be episode 100. We desperately want to hear from you. Hear your stories.
Absolutely.
Hear your comments, messages, anything.
If you are out there and you've thought, I love listening to these guys, or these guys annoy me so much.
Yeah.
Please leave us a message. Go on to Discord. Join the Vanilla to Vixen room, and you can send us a message on there.
Yeah.
I am Mr. N, / naughty couple on there.
Yeah.
You are Mrs. N, naughty couple.
Yeah.
Send us a message on Discord. We will read out we will play.
Want to play, that's the whole point.
We will play as many messages, questions, jokes, stories as we can.
Yeah.
It's the big 100 next week.
It is. Come and get your 30 seconds of fame.
And we will see you next week.
Will do.
Bye-bye.
Take care.